December 30th, 1977. The Pitkin County Courthouse in Aspen, Colorado, was quiet under a blanket of snow. The Rocky Mountains loomed in the distance, indifferent to the fact that within their shadows, one of the most notorious serial killers in American history was plotting his escape. Ted Bundy had been arrested for kidnapping and murder, and while he wore the face of a charming, educated law student, beneath it lay the cold, calculating mind of a predator. But Bundy was different from most criminals. He wasn't just planning to escape, he was planning to vanish, to disappear so completely that no one would ever catch him again. And the way he did it? It was almost unbelievable. Ted Bundy had always relied on manipulation rather than brute force. His ability to blend in, to deceive, to exploit weaknesses was his deadliest weapon, and in 1977, he used it to break free. Step 1. Identify the weak spots. Bundy had been transferred to Aspen for a court hearing. Unlike a maximum security prison, the Pitkin County Courthouse was a small-town facility, lightly guarded and not built to contain a high-profile killer. He studied his surroundings, observing how guards moved, where exits were, which doors were left unlocked. Most importantly, he noted one key flaw. There were no shackles in the law library on the second floor. Step 2. Get access to the library. Bundy had spent months playing the role of the cooperative defendant. He charmed the judge, convinced the guards he wasn't a flight risk, and secured special privileges, including unsupervised time in the courthouse law library to prepare his defense. What they didn't realize: Bundy wasn't preparing a defense, he was preparing an escape. The plan was set. All he needed was the right moment. That moment came at noon on December 30th, 1977. Bundy was alone in the second-floor library flipping through legal books, but his eyes were fixed on the window. A 30-foot drop to the ground. No guard watching him. No one standing outside. It was now or never. Bundy took off his coat, stacked law books under the window, climbed up, and jumped. The moment his feet hit the cold ground, he didn't stop. He ran, straight into the Aspen wilderness. At first, nobody realized he was gone. By the time they did, Bundy had already disappeared into the freezing forest where the snow was thick and the temperatures deadly. For 6 days, he wandered through the wilderness. He broke into cabins, stealing food and clothing. He hijacked a stolen car, but his inexperience with driving on icy roads caused him to crash. Cold, starving, and desperate, his great escape had turned into a nightmare. On January 6, 1978, Bundy stumbled back into Aspen, exhausted and barely able to stand. Police arrested him without resistance. He had escaped prison, but he had nowhere to go. Or so they thought, because just 6 months later, he did it again. And this time, he wouldn't make the same mistakes. Bundy was moved to Garfield County Jail, a more secure facility. But now, he knew exactly how to escape. And this time, he wouldn't run into the mountains. He would vanish into society. Over the next 6 months, Bundy became a model prisoner. He played cooperative, patient, respectful, never causing trouble. But behind the act, he was making a new plan. His cell was on the top floor of the jail, and he realized that above him was a small crawl space in the ceiling. No one ever checked it. Night after night, Bundy did push-ups and sit-ups, shedding weight so he could squeeze through the opening. By December 1977, he had dropped 30 pounds. Now, he just needed time alone. On the night of December 30th, 1977, exactly 1 year after his first escape, Bundy put his plan into action. Guards were busy with New Year's preparations. Bundy removed the ceiling panel, squeezed through the opening, and crawled through the ventilation system, navigating the narrow, dark tunnels above the guards' heads. He dropped down into a closet inside an unguarded administrative office. Then, in the boldest move of all, he walked right out the front door. Wearing civilian clothes stolen from a deputy's locker, Bundy simply blended in and walked into the night. No alarms, no sirens. No one even realized he was gone. By the time they discovered his empty cell, Bundy was 12 hours ahead. And this time, he didn't run into the mountains. He ran straight into society. Bundy didn't just escape, he vanished. Over the next 5 weeks, he traveled across the country, staying in cheap motels, using stolen credit cards, and plotting his return to murder. His trail led him to Florida, where he enrolled in a college town under a fake name. Then, in January 1978, Bundy did the unthinkable. He broke into a sorority house at Florida State University and unleashed one of the most brutal killing sprees in U.S. history. Within minutes, he attacked 4 women, killing 2 and leaving the others severely wounded. But he wasn't done. 2 weeks later, he kidnapped and murdered a 12-year-old girl named Kimberly Leach. Bundy's luck ran out on February 15, 1978, when he was pulled over by a routine traffic stop in Pensacola, Florida. He had stolen plates, fake IDs, and weapons in the car. When police took him in, he gave a fake name. But soon they realized who they had: the most wanted man in America. Bundy's escape had given him 5 weeks of freedom, and in those 5 weeks, at least 3 innocent people died. After years of trials and appeals, Bundy's luck finally ran out. On January 24, 1989, he was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison. But his 2 daring escapes in 1977 remain some of the most infamous in history. Because Bundy didn't just break out of jail. He played the system, manipulated the people around him, and walked right into a second chance at killing. And that is why he was one of the most dangerous men to ever live. Because sometimes, the devil wears a charming smile.